And hey there, hi there, ho there, and a gracious good Saturday morning to you. Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast, where we bring you the joy and excitement of UofL women's sports, and we certainly had some of that this week. Chance for y'all to kind of sit back with us, forget about what's going on in this crazy upside down world lately for an hour, and join us as we discuss UofL women's athletics. We've got a almost full crew with us today. Jared Anderson out. I'm thinking he's maybe got the lot cleared by now over at his financial institution, and he's back to his normal duties of sanitizing the ITM and the windows. But he won't be with us today, but we have promises from him he'll be back next week, so that's good. But we do have Jared out, Case in, Jeff in, me in, and of course Daryl is with us today as well. And let's kind of start with Daryl. Daryl, a very nice article that you wrote for us on Friday and got some nice compliments indeed from some of our readerships about the kind of boring Louisville win over Virginia Tech, right?
Oh, thank you. Whoever they are. Good morning, everybody. Hope you got your coffee with you. We got how many games to talk about today? Got a lot.
We're going to review 3 and preview 1, I think would be the call of order for women's basketball today, right?
All right. Yes, that's what I like to hear.
So we'll get into all that and pour a little double shot of Makers in that coffee, Daryl, and we'll have fun by the 45-minute mark of the show. Case Hoskins with us. Case and Daryl were actually comparing mattress notes before we came on the air. And that's about all I'm going to say about that. Daryl has a great story about her excellent delivery man, and I can remember the days when I used to strap my mattress to the top of the car and bring it home. Case, hopefully your and Daryl's delivery was much easier than that.
Yes, bygone are the days of having to tie a rope through your car door and or open windows, either one.
I can just picture Paul with his left hand out the window on top of the mattress trying to hold it on.
He didn't have the rope, yeah.
Sonia, hold on to the right side.
But you got to get home quick because the rain's coming, so you're flying 80 down the Gene Snyder.
Hey, that kind of reminds me of a Christmas tree story this year about a buddy of mine who went to go buy his Christmas tree and needed some assistance in actually tying it to the roof of his car so he could get it home. And so he asked inside, and I said, "Yes, sir, we'll send somebody out to help assist you with that." And they sent out a guy in a wheelchair.
Okay.
I just, yeah. And I said, the first thing you should have done is put the tree in his lap, throw him a rope, tie the rope to the bumper, and say, "Hold on, here we go." So Jeff McAdams with us today. Jeff and I were discussing political things earlier, but Jeff, you were very impressed with some academic pursuits by the University of Louisville squad earlier this week.
Yeah, I think I picked it up a little late on the news, but because I think somebody had already, whoever had the right for that day had already written about it, but the field hockey academic numbers came out with a team GPA of 3.8 something. Yeah, that's pretty impressive for a roster of that size with that many people to have that sort of an average. I'm impressed. Hats off to them.
Absolutely so. You get it done in the classroom. That truly defines the fact that you are a student athlete. We certainly appreciate that. But before we get into scheduling and Twitter and such like that, I'm on a quest, and I need everybody's help on this. I consulted Jared on it first. Jared was unable to help me. I am desperately looking for a free 2021 calendar. One of those 12 by 12 things that you can put on a drawer, put on a wall, or put on a cabinet, and actually write
paper?
on it. Yes, a paper calendar, one that hangs there.
Asking the wrong set of people here.
That was my fear, and I figured I could go to Jared because he works at a bank, and banks used to give out free calendars. Okay,
I think those days are gone.
Yeah, I mean, I actually got 3 free calendars last year. I got them from insurance people, and I actually went and actually bought one from the UofL Ladybirds at a game last year. which was a fun one. I always look forward to the next month. But those were pretty good. But Jared has the idea of the century. He types in here, we take photos from different U of L women's sports teams and make a Cardinal couple calendar. The key issue here probably would be capital. What do we use as capital for this? And then who's going to be our sales force? Because I'm not going to go ahead.
Well, some may have some issues with depending on what the NCAA does with name, image, and likeness stuff too. So,
but that poses the question: if they're Jared-based photos, can the NCAA really say anything?
yes,
They can.
If
now they can't do anything to us. They could do something to the players.
only if we gave them money.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't envision paying the people in the photos.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure how that.
If they change the NIL rules and then players can do it, then the players could sue us for making money off of their name, image, and likeness.
Yeah.
What if you didn't make people pay for it? What if it was just free?
Then
Comes back
I don't see a problem.
Capital.
Then you have no
money.
capital.
Yeah.
Or what if we didn't include players and just took pictures of like fields, buildings,
Ooh.
and
I like that.
the parking lot, and I would be great at those. Here's where we park.
This is
This
the porta
is the
potty that we
sidewalk
use.
we walk on. This is Daryl's private porta potty, and it has a lock on it and many things in there we don't want to,
It's
but,
already out
yeah.
of control.
It is, and we're only 7 minutes into the show, so Jeff said earlier, it's good to have you back on the show this week, Paulie. I think he's having second thoughts about that so far.
Well, I was mostly commenting about how it felt like such a long time. I joked about, it's good to be back after 3 months. And oh, wait, it's only been a week with everything that went on this week.
Yeah, every week feels like a month.
Last week I was walking around in shorts, I swear I was, man, and I had suntan lotion on me, and look at today. But okay, we've caught up with everybody except for me, and what I did this week was thoroughly uninteresting. All I did was sit and watch TV in absolute horror for about 3 days in what was going on. And that was just the U of L Virginia Tech game. It doesn't include anything else. This is the time of the show where we normally get into Case Hoskins' brilliant reports on his Kreskin Nostradamus type scheduling observations, and also let's see if he can get all 5 Twitter accounts right in the first take. Huh? How about that, Case? The ball is yours. Go.
I don't think I've gotten them wrong in a while. Maybe a little
I don't know.
slow.
This last week,
Maybe a little slow on the uptake, but I don't think I get them wrong. As always, we'll start with scheduling. It is wild card weekend in the NFL, so as much as I would not want a U of L basketball game to be postponed, maybe today when they would have conflicted with the Seahawks game, I'll let it go. Men's basketball versus Georgia Tech was scheduled for today. That one was postponed officially, I believe, on Thursday. But I think everybody knew that it was going to happen on Tuesday when their game was postponed against Notre Dame. So, yeah, that game versus Georgia Tech, not happening. We'll have to wait to see our good buddy Josh in the Center. Swimming is currently underway against Notre Dame. We may talk a little bit about some results that have been ongoing. I've been keeping up with the Twitter list on the side of the site to see those results come pouring in. The women got started at 10 a.m. And the men are going to start at 2 p.m. They must be separating those a bit more aggressively to try and help with some social distancing and stuff. That's a meet at Notre Dame. Women's basketball back underway tomorrow. The ACC Home Opener against Clemson. That one is at noon on the ACC network. Proper, not extra. I think they pretty generally leave Sundays open for women's basketball or women's sports on ACC network. It's what I've noticed throughout this year at least. The women's basketball game is still on the schedule against Florida State, listed as postponed. Don't know why they would do that, but here we are. Monday, Tuesday, everybody's off. Wednesday, men's basketball scheduled to take on Wake Forest in Winston-Salem. That one's at 4:30 p.m. So a mid-afternoon game once more. It's become the norm in college basketball this season, it seems. That one's on the ACC network. Women's basketball then taking on Boston College, still at home at 8 p.m. So your nightcap on the ACC network on Thursday. Then Friday, track starts their season. They're going to the McGravy Green Invitational, hosted by UK in Lexington. That's all day. And women's tennis gets their season underway at the Notre Dame Invitational on Friday as well. Swimming back in action on Friday, too, when they take on Missouri in the Ralph Wright Natatorium at 1 p.m. on Friday. I don't think you can go watch it. Pretty sure that's not allowed this year. Like we said, the Twitter accounts, you can keep up with the UofL women's athletics list that Jeff put together on the side of the site. Updates live, so if you're looking to try and keep up with the swimming results without having to scroll through your feed all the time, you can just pop open the site and check it out there. I tweet is at best case scenario. That's BST case scenario. My most recent tweet talks about how I cried at the end of the tribute for Alex Trebek last night, because that one got to me a little bit.
Oh, that one got me.
It was rough. And for some,
I was fine until he walked off the stage.
Yeah, that was what got me. Yeah. And
Yeah.
for some reason it just made the episode like hit harder that it was supposed to be the Christmas episode. I don't know why. Like it had no bearing on anything, but yeah, that one was a little tough. Rest in peace, Alex. Daryl tweets us at DarylFaust4. That's Daryl with a Y and just one R. 4 like the numeral. Jared as Mr. Anderson Jared. Bringing you photos and Colts tweets. For some reason, thinks he only wants Deshaun Watson, the leader of the league in passing yards, if he improves his pocket passing. Jared, I don't know how to help you, bud. You all should get Deshaun Watson. That would be a great pickup for the Colts. The Texans will never let him go, but maybe he'll retire and pull a Marshawn Lynch or something. Jeff tweets us at Jeff McAdams and at Card Couple Radio, and our fearless leader Paulie tweets us at Cardinal Couple. So there we go. That's Twitter and the scheduling.
And he did that with the mark of a true professional. Very good job, Case. Certainly indeed. And you got to wonder a couple things. First of all, you all had a contest last week on trying to predict the score.
We had it without you, yes.
Yeah, which I totally opposed that. I was not consulted on this, and I'm certainly legal actions are pending. But who won, Case?
If you aren't counted, then officially I won. I was closest. We all, I think, overestimated Bellarmine and their offense, or maybe underestimated Louisville's defense against Bellarmine. But man, that was rough. The lowest theoretical score was Daryl's 51. She wouldn't give us a real score. She said between the 70s and the 50s. But my 101.64 was closest on point differential for the
97.46. So hey, that's not bad. That's not bad. We will do that at the end of the show today on the Clemson game. We'll get your all's picks on that and certainly see how we do on those. Because last week, if y'all did bother to like ask me or text me or something, because my connection was horrible inside the Yum, I would have given you 99-44. That was my score. I can say that now in all honesty, right?
Definitely.
Yes.
I don't think any of us will be the wizard, though. It was Mike Rutherford who missed the men's versus Virginia Tech game by like 1 or 2 points. 1 point each. When Louisville was up 72 to 69 and Virginia Tech was going to the line, I was like, somehow this is going to happen at 72 to 70. But it didn't. So that's our challenge, is to be as close as that on this Clemson game.
Jared smugly types in Wi-Fi was good in the media room. Could have come visit. Shake my head. Well, Jared, obviously you have never tried to negotiate the elevators this year that lead from that media staging area up to where they have us sitting up on top of Mount Everest covering the game. It's not always easy. The elevators sometimes take you to a floor you don't want to go to without punching any buttons at all. You know, you're ready, you punch in the media level button, and all of a sudden you're in the basement. So just inflate your head a little more and float to your seat. Ha ha ha. Okay, yeah, I'll do that next time. But And now my brain is completely lost on everything.
Just brutal cuts so far in the chat room. Man.
I feel like I'm being beat up by Mike Tyson or George Foreman here. I'm just raising my gloves and trying to make it to the end of the bell.
Yesterday was just nonstop clowning over photographs. Today, man.
It's not easy being me. It really isn't. It's tough at times. Fortunately, I've got the respect of a nice cardinal bird out in the front yard who flies, sits on the sill and looks into me like, "Hey, dummy, how about the bird seat? It's 9 a.m. Let's go. Let's wake up."
They get so spoiled, I swear.
Oh, and they do. I was telling Jeff about the Cardinal versus Mockingbird battle. I've been watching that in the front yard. Quite interesting, actually. Almost.
I got money on the card.
I don't know. These Mockingbirds are tough customers, man. I tell you, they come in masses too. They'll hit you with 4 or 5 at one time. But go Cards, that's right. I'll be taking guesses on who wins that battle later too. But let's get into the joy and excitement of UofL women's athletics, shall we? And certainly something that had brought us joy several times this week, in addition to a couple of kind of scary oh no moments, was the Louisville women's basketball team. They went 3-0 on the week. And it all started out actually right after this broadcast last week when the Cards took on their rivals across Eastern Parkway, the Bellarmine Knights. Louisville winning this one 97-46. Some of your all's thoughts and observations on this one. Now, I know you discussed at length about what you expected to see. Let's start with you, Daryl. What did you think of this game?
Wow, I totally underestimated the Cards defense on that one. They got out to a quick start, and the first quarter was 26-12, and they really never let up the gas. I mean, they scored 26 in the second quarter too, and let Bellarmine only score 9 in the second quarter. So, this one was just way out of hand really quick, and I like it that way when it's our team.
Olivia Cochran had a big game case. She certainly, of course, obviously not the quality of post players at Bellarmine yet, since it's their first year in Division One. I do think Chancellor Dugan will get some excellent talent in there as they continue on, but Olivia was kind of like the tall kid in the 5th grade playground, wasn't she? She was having a field day.
Yeah, similar to me in recreational basketball before everybody caught up, except I couldn't even make my layups. Olivia went 7 for 7 from the floor, just 1 of 4 from the free throw line. So you really want to see her get better at that, especially if she's going to be such a force on the inside. Hack a Shack was a thing for a reason. And so if she's going to be unstoppable on the inside, people are going to want to send her to the free throw line, and until she can force them to respect that, I think we'll start to see it a bit more. Only 3 rebounds, but she only had 15 minutes. I mean, nobody played more than 25, which was Narika Kono and Alana Smith tied there. Haley Van Lith, the starter with the most minutes at 22. And you kind of expect that because she's a freshman, so you want the youth on the floor. But like you said, a great game, 7 for 7 from the floor, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals, really stuffed the stat sheet. She didn't finish with any fouls or turnovers. So the only issue there, that low free throw percentage. But yeah, great game from her. Like you mentioned, Bellarmine just didn't have anything that was going to match up. So it's good to see. I mean, you want your bigs to dominate when they're in a dominable position. So great job.
Jeff, 52-21 at halftime. The Cards were shooting a sparkling 64%. Bellarmine at 33%. This one, as they like to say sometimes, was over after 1, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. And I'm struck, just looking at the stat sheet, the thing that really stands out to me is the consistency of UofL scoring across quarters. We'll contrast that here in a little bit with another game. But 26, 26, 25, 20 were the Louisville quarter scores. Drop off a little bit in the fourth as you kind of start holding it at the end of the game when you're up big like that. But that's a remarkably consistent offensive effort out there, which is, it's good to see. in comparison to, ups and downs and, crazy, types of, are they going to play well or are they not? Like in the Virginia Tech game that we'll talk about here in a little bit. But yeah, that was really impressive. And, the percentage shooting was overall were quite good. Generally, I did the recap on this one that 3-point shooting in the second and fourth quarters was 0, so that's a little disturbing. But otherwise, really pretty good. 60% overall, 80% from field goal in the second quarter is just like lights out shooting. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I'm looking at that 3 points though. 18%. Almost 19% for the game. That's not good.
It's not terrible for an overall percentage, but when you look at you had quarters. The first quarter was 33%, and third quarter was 25%, which is good. Those are good numbers. In the second and fourth quarters, though, 0 for 5 in the fourth quarter. Ouch. Yeah,
fourth quarter
attempted one.
A younger folk in though.
Yeah, they only attempted one in the second, so it just didn't try many. So.
Generally, you'll take 19% from 3 if you shoot 75% from 2.
Yeah.
As long as it's not 19% from 3 and you took 33s, right?
Right.
16 is kind of a lot to only shoot 19%, but it's not a game breaker if you're shooting that well from inside.
Right.
I think the 8 blocks also stands out. 8 blocks, 8 turnovers.
Yeah, 4 per half here on the blocks for Louisville too. As Elizabeth Bellagoon had 2 in the first half. Certainly, she's the kind of player this year that she's not getting a lot of points, but she's doing a lot of other things. Right. She was rebounding huge against Virginia Tech. In this game, she was blocking shots, and Bellagoon was also doing a very, very good job on defense, which where they've come to expect of her. As was pointed out, she was an ACC Freshman of the Year, you all. And that's right now. She's a 5th starter. No, maybe the first to come out of games sometimes, but certainly a very integral part of this team.
And she usually does really well on her rebound stats, too. She
Yes.
only had 4 in this one, which is a little below her norm, but yeah, give her credit on that.
And a very good game for Rick Kono, as we mentioned in that one. Let's bat this around real quickly here just a second. I think this game was good for Bellarmine, though, because as they get ready to go into ASUN play, they've had the chance to play somebody that was worlds better than them and, learn a little bit. I'm sure that Chancellor Dugan had plenty of teaching and film review opportunities with the squad to kind of look at this and say, here's where we need to improve. Let's see if we can do this like Louisville. Why did they do this against us, and how did we react to it? Daryl, am I wrong here?
No, I agree with you, especially because how deep Louisville's roster goes. We talk about how the bench got a lot of minutes, and they looked really good. I mean, I'm just looking at, just the first few off the bench with Liz Dixon, 5 for 6. Narika was 4 of 5. Romani was 5 of 5 in 10 minutes. I mean, my gosh, like, what does Jeff Walls have in the arsenal left? And I think it's good for Bellarmine because they got to play our starters. Really, the starters look great, but then they got to go into our bench too and play a little bit less experienced squad. So they can learn a lot from playing the Cards.
Okay, so nice Butler High School presence on this Bellarmine team too, and some girls that did some good things for them in that game.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit last week with Brea Torrens and Tasha Jeffries. They both played 25 minutes. Had some struggles from the floor, but they both took a lot of 3-pointers. So they both finished with 6 points. Jeffries had 2 rebounds and 5 assists to go along with it. So Louisville did a really good job of shutting down Torrens and Jeffries, in addition to Lauren Deal, who were the top 3 scorers on the team. They were the 3 that Louisville was going to have to look out for, if anybody, and they did a good job holding everybody on Bellarmine's team to under double-digit scoring.
And certainly the hopes here, I think, and I think you'd agree with this, Jeff, that Bellarmine can do well in the A-Sun. Of course, let's not forget that Chancellor Dugan came to Bellarmine from the A-Sun when she was at Florida Atlantic, left there to take the Bellarmine job, and now she returns to the A-Sun. And they have and I saw who they were playing earlier this morning, and I've already forgotten. They've got a game today, I think. That
Lipscomb.
Lipscomb, that's right.
Who I assume traveled with the men's team, because they played.
I thought this one was in Nashville.
So I guess the buses passed each other then.
Yeah.
Because the men's team has played Lipscomb last night and they played today in Freedom Hall, and then the women's team is playing at Lipscomb today and tomorrow. So the buses must have passed each other.
Then they stopped at the Bojangles over there, the Shepherd's Hut, and had lunch, and then
University bonding. They just hung out.
Yeah, out in the parking lot throwing snowballs at each other on Friday. I know Dale would have been a part of that. Using your mattress as a shield. With this
Yeah, the old one.
Yeah, the old one, preferably the old one. So a nice start to the week for the Cards. They returned to action on Tuesday when they had the rematch against UT Martin. The Skyhawks came in. When we think of UT Martin, we think of the brilliant play of Chelsea Perry there. Certainly a great player for them. We think of Sagan Robbins, former guard, who has worked her way into a starting role at guard there. And we also think about their head coach, McMillan, who would not wear a mask when talking to Jeff Walls after the game. Okay. Scratches the finger on that one, sir. No good. But this one, a game where the Cards kind of struggled a bit in the first half, only leading 21-13. They had a very dominant second half and blew this thing out to a 49-24 advantage, on way to a 96-61 win, where we saw Dana Evans say, "This is my auditorium. I own this joint. Stand back while I shoot and don't even think about guarding me."
You kept saying
12, 6 for 7 from.
You kept saying half there. I think you meant quarter. You were talking about.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, I think you said 21-13 in the first half. That was the first quarter score.
No, 21-13 in the first quarter, sir.
Right. You said half.
I mentioned it was 49-24 to half. That's fine. I'll review the tape on it. Thank you so much. And now we turn the rest of the show over to Jeff, who will just give us his
I just want to clarify. Just want to make sure,
Thank you so much for that. Very good.
Keeping good information out there.
Where was I again? Okay.
Career day for Dana.
Yeah, and okay, Daryl, you take over for a while. I'm tired of this shit. How about Dana? Wow, 29 points.
I mean, it's really nice to have the best player in the country on your team, isn't it?
Yeah.
She had 6 threes. She was perfect at the free throw line. She was 10 of 12. And it's like Coach Walls said, even after Thursday night's game, she's going to have the ball in her hand. She doesn't want to lose. And I can see that from her style of play this season. She does not want to lose a game. And if it even, and not in this game, but like it was on Thursday night against Virginia Tech, if that's in question, if that's the possibility that they'll lose, she's going to be that person, whether it's defensively or offensively. She's going to go to the rim, or she's going to steal the ball away from you. And it's so much fun to watch. Senior Dana is on fire.
Indeed it is. And when Dana wasn't hitting the threes case, Kiana Smith was saying, "Hey, let me try a couple here." She went 3 for 4 on her after 14 points for the game. She certainly stepped up big for the Cards in that one, didn't she?
Yeah, she's been a huge boon for U of L this season. Filled the role that I think we expected Elizabeth Bellagoon may have based on last season. Unfortunately, the shooting stroke has just not been there for E this year, like we've talked about. But fortunately, Kiana Smith has stepped up to make those shots from outside the arc. I think Haley Van Lith, once she gets a little bit more comfortable, we have to remember she's played now 9 games in college, and probably had COVID. So it's it's one of those things where we expected her to be just, the best player ever because she may turn out to be that way at some point, but just based on her high school career. And we have to temper expectations a little bit. She's still a freshman. She's still learning. It's good to have excellent play from Dana and then very good play from Kiana and some other veterans to help get Van Lith and Cochran really fully integrated into this lineup and into the college, sphere.
Perhaps the big surprise and certainly one of the most enjoyable parts of this game for me, Jeff, was Malaya Williams, 6 minutes in her first appearance of the year, ending up with 7 points, outscoring Alana Smith and even Elizabeth Bellagoon. How about the Frankfurt freshman, sir?
Yeah, I mean, more than a point a minute is that's a pretty decent pace of scoring there. Dana Evans hit that mark, but I think that was about the only player that did. Point a minute is a good number. That's pretty impressive. She comes off, she gives us confidence that we have yet another fairly big player that that we can go to if we get in a situation where we have foul trouble or just need a change of pace and things like that. I talked about in my article, I think last week, how the guard squad has gotten so much attention and a lot of these bigs have kind of gotten lost in the shuffle of commentary, with reason. Or, the guard squad's amazing and, super deep and all of that. And there's a lot to talk about with them. But this is, okay, so we've got Olivia Cochran, we've got Liz Dixon, we've got Marissa Russell, we've got not Marissa Russell, Romani Parker, and Malaya Williams out there that are are able to fill in and be a presence inside.
Very important.
I don't know if
indeed.
you all noticed, but I feel like Narika is really turning a page going from last year to this year. She's getting a lot more minutes than I would have expected. And when she's on the floor, I feel like she's almost guaranteed buckets.
What I've watched about her and what I really like about her a whole lot is the fact that she is a facilitator. She's with the quick pass to the open ball player. She's more than willing to set the pick for somebody to drive around her on her same team and put up a basket. She's the one who's going to step up on defense and draw the charge or make sure that the double team happens. She is totally all about the team player. And hey, over the last couple games, she's developed a 3-point shot that's been pretty fun to watch as well. So if I'm going to talk about maybe my most improved player from last year, I've got to.
She's got a great stroke. Like when you see her let go of the ball, it's like butter. And I think her size, her upper body, I don't know. I just can't wait until she really develops her body and gets stronger, because I think that she just looks huge up top compared to last year. She's really frail and, petite, but now she's putting on size and she's getting the ball there.
Certainly indeed for that is the Cards. With that win, took their record to 8-0 and still waiting, of course, for their second conference game. They got a nice surprise when they found out they were going to get that game. The ACC, with their big dartboard that they've got there in Greensboro, threw 2 darts. One landed on Virginia Tech and the other landed on Louisville. So that was a matchup right there. And they decided that although the Cards were scheduled to play them much later in the season and actually had Virginia Tech coming to visit us, necessitation moved this game up where Virginia Tech was hosting us down in Blacksburg, and a game that was not on the ACC network. Very surprising to me that if you have a network designated for your league, that you don't have it on your Thursday night women's basketball package on your flagship network, that you have this on RSN, which translated out for some, Fox Sports South. Some viewers were unable to get this game case, and I think that's where we can start at. I know you wanted to watch this one, but you couldn't get it, could you?
Yeah, it's a struggle for me as now a YouTube TV user. That they have agreements with Fox Sports, and I get like all the other Fox Sports, right? I get FS1, I get FS2. You know, it just not the regional ones, which is a frustration I know for my brother-in-law who we share it with, big Reds fan. One of the only reasons he wanted cable is to be able to watch Reds games. He can't watch those because they're on FS Ohio. And I get the intent of wanting to get these games that aren't going to be on ACC Network proper off of ACC Network Extra, because then they're streaming only. But I think you're actually getting fewer viewers because of the amount of streaming services that don't have agreements with Fox Sports to carry these regional networks. I don't think Hulu does either. Sling maybe, but I think you end up with fewer viewers on these regional sports network games than you would if it was just carried on the ESPN app, because almost everybody has smart TV and they watch them on there when they can hook up their streaming service. So yeah, this one's frustrating. It's been the case for at least 2 men's games already this year. It probably won't be the last women's game that's like that. I see a January 26th game against Miami scheduled on a Tuesday at 4 p.m. that does not have TV listed yet. That one probably ends up there. It's just frustrating, you know. You want to watch the games, and you pay to watch the games, and then you can't watch the games. So I'm not the only one. I know that.
Nope, you're not.
Bet games. I know you feel the same way, Jeff. I tend to be a traditionalist. I still like to listen to radio broadcasts at times.
Yeah,
and certainly the crew that was in RSN and Fox Sports South for that game turned to me to the radio much faster than I normally would have gone there because of the horrible, pitiful crew that called for Fox Sports South. Where if you can't tell the difference between Olivia Cochran and Dana Evans, then you seriously either need to go to an optometrist or have your head examined. They are 2 different ball players. They even look.
That was so bad.
Yeah,
I was yelling the whole time. Stop calling her Olivia.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with Case. I'm also using YouTube TV, so similarly don't get the regional Fox Sports one, so I wasn't able to watch this one either. I do, however, think that the silver lining is being able to pull in Nick Curran on the radio call. He's phenomenal, right? He's very good at what he does and does a great job of painting the picture of what's going on. So I really was able to keep up with the game pretty well. And, you know, then I got the entertainment of watching everybody on Twitter complaining about calling people by the wrong name. So it's like, yep.
But were you
I think Nick Curran got that right.
Were you able to visualize the awesome uniforms that they debuted?
You know, they posted pictures of them on Twitter, so I kind of knew what they looked like. Yes, so yeah.
And let's go to the fashion report by Daryl Faustin on those, because they were striking, weren't they?
There's certain things I like and don't like the decal they put the Ville on the back of the shorts on some uniforms. Not a fan of that, but this one really caught my eye when, like you said, scrolling Twitter and they said that they were going to be wearing these. I'm like, this thing, it sort of looked McDonald's-y, but I thought it worked. You know, the red and the yellow.
I think this is my new favorite alternate. If you're going to go with the black uniform, I don't know why, for all UofL sports, if you're going to go with the black uniform, I don't know why you wouldn't use the Louisville alternate yellow instead of white as your light color, or gray. I mean, you could use gray too. But if you're going to go with black, you have the black and red, and we've got, you know, the alternate gray, the alternate yellow. Louisville doesn't need white on its black uniforms. This looks amazing to me. I think it's one of my new favorites. I saw somebody say, oh, well, they look like Florida State. And somebody quickly responded, they use garnet and gold, and this is red and yellow. Like, are you blind? I mean, I can understand why someone would say that.
Compare them with Maryland's uniforms.
You could compare them with Maryland more than anything, but I mean, if you look at UofL's website,
yellow was because the cardinal bird's beak is yellow. That's why there was yellow on there.
If you look at UofL's website, it counts as our color, so I have no issue with using these colors.
Yeah, I do. Like Paul said, I like the yellow, like the beak. It gives it a little beak trim. Maybe they should wear yellow shoes too. That would really make it pop.
I know some Adidas shoes that a former UofL player created that come in this color. So
yeah,
sure we can get some on campus.
Hint, hint.
The uniforms were fantastic, no doubt about it. The Cardinal basketball, at least for the first quarter, was pretty fantastic. Louisville blowing out to a 25-13 lead. Things looked to be all systems go. They had Kenny Brooks and the Hokies in retreat on the way to a sure defeat, at least after 10 minutes. Then Dean Cantor decided she wasn't getting enough airtime and took over the game, so to speak. I'm very frustrated about that particular aspect of it. I'm not going to go into it because I don't want to get myself in any more trouble than I'm probably already in. So let's kind of take it from the end of the first quarter on, Daryl. Louisville kind of slipped a little bit, didn't they?
Yeah, you mean first half, right, or first quarter?
Well, we were outscored 20-17 in the second quarter. Not that that's a big deal. We still had a pretty nice lead at halftime, 42-33. But there were signs that Virginia Tech was beginning to come out of their winter slumber, wake up, stretch, and yawn, and go take their cubs to look for berries, so to speak.
Yeah.
Certainly with the play of Shepard and Kittley.
The Cards were able to get up to a 16-point lead, but, you know, if you're a seasoned Louisville fan, you never really take that to the bank. You kind of sit back and wait for the other team to fight back a little bit. And they did, like you said, the officiating crew get a little sloppy there at the end of the half. But, you know, I thought Haley Van Lith came out with a lot more fire than she had in previous games this week. And I think she struggled a little bit in the, was it Bellarmine or UT Martin game? So she was ready to get back out there and show what she's got, and she still has it. Whether defensively or offensively, she was making her presence known. Dana took a few minutes for Dana to get going, but she was able to get, I think, 10 points in the first half. She finished with 22, none from 3-point range. So that was a struggle for the Cards against Virginia Tech, getting the ball to go in beyond the arc. But Coach Wall said it was, you know, fouls got a little called a little more easily there towards the end, and he had to take out the starters and put some bench players in. And he also said that the bench might not have been ready for their numbers to be called. They got a little sloppy and yeah, put the Cards in some foul trouble and put Virginia Tech at the line a lot. If you saw the final free throws, Virginia Tech had 26 attempts in the entire game, and the Cards had 7. That's like you said, just the discrepancy with the officiating in women's basketball has got to be addressed. I recognized that ref. I just could not get her name to come to mind. But yeah, she also wanted to be the star of the show.
Yeah, D with the mask is still D. One of the things that I was impressed with, to a certain extent, at halftime, was the fact that we had done a fairly good job in shutting down Elizabeth Kittley. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, she woke up in the second half. Asia Shepard was a kind of a thorn in our side. And here's the thing about her is that, she's a great can't-miss player. She was 4 for 13 from the floor in this game, where she cashed in huge, was 9 for 12 from the free throw line. Yes, you heard it right. She actually had 5 more attempts than the entire Louisville team for this game. And she also made 3 more than the Cards did. And then there was the third quarter as the action started. I remember thinking to myself, this can go one of two ways. We either put on one of our early second half runs and blow this thing out a little bit, or we find a road hazard. It turned out to be the road hazard, Jeff. It wasn't very good.
Yeah, I mean, it was a rough late game there until Dana said enough is enough, basically. I mean, that's the story of the game. You know, back and forth struggles, getting close, getting leads for Virginia Tech, and then Dana says, "Nope, I'm going to end this now," and just takes off.
One of the things, even before you go to the third quarter, that frustrates. Well, there's two things about the end of half sequence that frustrate me. One, I'm not a college basketball coach, but if I were, I can promise you that if I got the ball back with 54 seconds before the end of the half, I'm going 2 for 1. Like, there's no reason for UofL to have had the ball with 54 seconds left before end of half and not get their shot until 28 seconds, because then you can't hold for the last shot. You give that up to the other team. The second is that Louisville played well on defense for Virginia Tech's last possession, and forced a three-pointer by Aisha Shepard that she missed, but then gave up the offensive rebound to allow them another chance with 4 seconds left to make up the last basket of the half. It cuts Louisville's lead to 9. Obviously, a 9-point lead at halftime you're still happy about, but it kind of heralded the sluggish third quarter that came about, and really gave Virginia Tech a boost going into the locker room that, as the leading team on the road, you don't want to give.
Yeah.
The Cards had 10 turnovers in the third quarter.
Yeah.
15 game.
I think there was like 4 in a row in possessions. 4 possessions in a row they turned the ball over. I could not see how that happened. That quarter happened. It was like no offense was going. He kept turning the ball over. And yeah, you saw the lead dwindle away. And Coach Walls was extremely frustrated on the sidelines. I know some of y'all couldn't see it, but you know, he's sitting there with his legs crossed and his hands behind his head, just biting the inside of his mask. Thought he was going to chew through it. He was very frustrated.
It was mint flavored.
It was
Yeah, Daryl, that's like 4 possessions in a row with turnovers, and you see Louisville's lead go from 11 down to 5 before they're finally able to make a basket. Not even shoot a basket, or not even make a basket, but shoot a basket, which they did make. Yeah. But yeah, that's not something you can afford, especially so early in the quarter. It started at just under the 8-minute mark, so that momentum that I talked about, Virginia Tech carrying into the half, they were able to springboard that, and Louisville just kind of played right into their hands and really set up a near disaster going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And despite the third quarter from a hell, as I'd like to call it, the Cards still were clinging to a 54-53 lead, by the grace of God and such. But the fourth quarter certainly was one that was very topsy-turvy, very nervous for me until the final couple of minutes when Dana Evans decided that she was going to take over the game. Had 6 of the 8 final points for the Cards, and one of my favorite plays of the entire season as Virginia Tech got ready to go through what they considered possibly to be the last possession of the game. Their freshman point guard, Georgia Amore, dribbling the ball out there past 3-point range, and then all of a sudden she tries maybe a half-hearted crossover, and Dana says, "No, I don't think so."
Yoink.
My basketball.
She takes off. She goes all the way down there, and then all of a sudden it looked like one of those old games of tag. Who can catch Dana first? Not me. And she runs around the entire court. I think she even stopped and got popcorn up on the second row, and then ran back out with the ball. Killing valuable time on the clock.
I feel like it has to be noted as well, because Dana tweeted about it, making fun of herself. She also lost 1/2 of her eyelashes.
Right, so lost her right eyelash. Yeah, that was in response to somebody commenting about fouls. So yeah,
right. It's so tough because there's 2 things. So for Dana, one thing I love about her is that she makes basketball pretty. Like, she looks great out there, and she's tough, and she's competitive. And then the thing I love about Haley Van Lith is, like, she doesn't try to be pretty while she plays. But then when it all came down to it, Dana was like, "Screw the pretty. I'm gonna go out here and win this game."
Yeah, and
it's an incredibly heady senior play. Sorry, Jeff.
Yeah, it really is.
I think if Haley Van Lith steals that ball,
she goes in for a layup. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
And maybe she makes it and Louisville's still up by 4, but then you're up by 4 with 9 seconds left and things can happen. But an incredibly heady play by the senior to have that wide open basket, and you can see her. When you watch the replay, you can see the flash where she's like, "Oh, wide open basket layup," and then she just freezes and is like, "Wait, never mind, I gotta turn around."
Yeah.
Like, you have to kill the clock.
Yeah, that's exactly the point I was going to make. Is that it was, I was listening to it on the radio, and you hear this, and you think, "Oh, she's going for a layup." No, wait, she really shouldn't. And then you hear Nick Curran saying that she's curving around and going into the basket and killing more time, and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, that's the senior there." Because I think Haley Van Lith is a fantastic player. She's a very intelligent young woman, and she does very well. Look at her grades, 4.0. But maybe she doesn't have quite that game awareness yet to notice that and pull up and say, wait a minute, let me burn some time here rather than going for the easy shot. The actual killing the time is more important than the points.
That actual foul on Dana, which was kind of Asia Shepherd reaching out in desperation and trying to grab hold of anything she could as Dana flew by her, did not put the Cards on the line, though. They actually had to get a foul from the Hokies before they could go to the free throw line. That happened after, on the third attempt, Louisville finally got the ball in bounds after 2 attempts that were almost kind of thwarted, and timeout were necessitated, being called by Jeff Walls to say, okay, that didn't work, let's try something else. Okay, that didn't work, why don't we do this? Yeah. Finally, on the third attempt, they did get the ball into Haley Van Lith, and to no one's surprise, she was fouled almost instantaneously. And Haley, the freshman.
I was about to say something about also Dana holding on to the ball because she's the best free throw shooter on the team. And I decided to go look at the stats real quick. And Dana and Haley are exactly tied on their free throw stats right now. They're both 23 for 26 for the year. So, yeah, okay. But still, one of the two of them needs to have the ball in that case.
Amazing stat in this game, too. How many free throws do you think Dana took in 38 minutes?
Not many.
5, 7, maybe. She was 0 for 0.
Yeah.
In 38
I can think
minutes.
of a couple plays where she deserved to be on the line.
Yeah. I mean, certainly losing the eyelash, right?
And a contact. Those were two different occurrences.
Right.
She had somebody swipe her face to remove a contact.
But it was no call. It wasn't seen.
Right.
Haley Van Lith actually had 4 attempts from the free throw line. She hit all 4, including 2 very clutch ones with 5 seconds on the clock. And then in another Keystone Cops comedy end to a game, when Virginia Tech is on their last possession, for some reason, Kiana Smith fouls Virginia Tech player. D. Cantor, of course, says, no, the game's not over, even though the buzzer's gone off, stops it and runs over, has a big ordeal. It actually looked to be chastising the Virginia Tech officials that were keeping time and stuff like that, and then said, out of nowhere, 2 seconds. Put 2 seconds back on the clock. I don't know if that was her, whatever. However she determined it was 2 seconds. I know she didn't do it by the replays. But
I really like that the play-by-play does not acknowledge that Kiana Smith fouled out. It's just, Kiana Smith foul. Oh, she was subbed right after she fouled. No reason. There's no particular reason that she was subbed right after she fouled. But, foul and then sub. It's easy.
Obviously, 5 fouls, not very important on that. And we also lost Bellagoon, too, to fouls. She had 5, went out. And that was early. So. Certainly, when you take a look at the initial stats on it, so Louisville had 19 personal fouls, but Virginia Tech had 15. Well, guess what? It doesn't always tell the full story. Certainly, indeed. But, hey, it was a Cardinal win. Louisville gets out of this thing.
A win against a good team.
And you've got to feel Virginia Tech's a little bit snake bit, Jeff. They're 0 for 3 now in their last 3 games. Yeah. 3 games they all could have. 3 games where they got great performances out of Asia Shepherd and Elizabeth Ketley, but 0 3.
Yep.
Kind of feel sorry for Kenny a little bit down there.
Yeah.
But I'm certainly glad he's 0-1 because that means that Louisville beat them.
Yeah.
But a great guy down there, just a wonderful coach. Really loves his players. They take good care of each other, and certainly a guy I'd like to see have a lot of success the rest of the way out, because he's one of the good ones in the ACC, right? Everybody nods their head and silent.
I can't argue that point. Not at all. So, yeah.
Next action coming up for the Cards will be Clemson. The University of Louisville will go to the KFC Yum Center to face a Clemson team that will be coming in here, and just to get a kind of update here on the stats on what the Tigers will be coming into this. They are currently an 8-3 team. They are on, like Virginia Tech was, a 2-game losing streak currently, as they unfortunately lost their last game out that they played against Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech is a very good team this year.
A very good Georgia Tech team who's currently 5-3. Clemson comes in. They've got some certainly great talent down there. Amanda Butler has done well with transfers and developing some freshmen. A Clemson team that we've traditionally kind of laughed at as the doormat of the ACC women's basketball programs. They are 8-3, you all. They're 3-3 in conference, and certainly will pose some challenges.
Beat Florida State, Notre Dame, which admittedly are not the teams that they traditionally are, but still not bad teams. A couple of good wins there. They took a bit of a loss to Miami and then Georgia Tech. And again, Georgia Tech's a very good team. Noah Fortner's doing some great things down there. So credit to Clemson. They're not, we used to kind of think of them as kind of the clowns of the ACC, and they're definitely not anymore.
And certainly has some great talent down there. Kendall Spray, I think we all remember from last year and the year before, a very, very good guard, 5'5", but certainly a 3-point shooter of very, very, very good quality and means. Hannah Hank, back on this team, a very good ball player for them at 6'2", has done some good things inside for Amanda Butler as well. They've also got Michaela Hayes, 6'3", a little height in there, a redshirt junior, playing the center position. Tyler Bennett, perhaps the player of Clemson's that I most fear. She's a 6'4" senior center, and one that can certainly put up points in droves. Clemson should not be taken lightly as they come in to play us. They have some nice wins and are having a great season. Daryl, what do you see in this game?
Well, it's like you said, that center position's a little bit of a makes me nervous a little bit, because she could definitely get in there and push around our bigs. Maybe get them in some foul trouble, and like Kay said earlier, if we're not making the free throws that we need to by our bigs, they're just going to go in there and put them at the line and then perhaps foul them out. So her, and then I think she's a freshman guard, Gabby Elliott, is leading the team in points. And then, like everybody else has alluded to, this could be a sleeper for us. They kind of, give us a run for our money some over the past few years. And, the last few games that they've had, they, able to keep it close. It could be like Virginia Tech. We could be on the edge of our seats by the end of it.
Yeah, fortunately, one of the things that we have to look forward to is this game, when so many are being canceled. And they actually haven't tipped it up yet. We're going to have to see if it goes. Maybe Clemson gets tracing in the next 24 hours or so. But we certainly look forward to this. Let's anticipate it's going to happen. And now I turn to you, beloved Cardinal Couple Radio, our podcast crew, with your predictions for this game. Who do you think will win, and by what score? Let's start with last week's alleged unverified winner, Case Hoskins. Case, your score, Clemson versus Louisville.
If you carry my score from the Bellarmine game to the UT Martin game, it was even closer. Almost nailed that one. It doesn't count, but pretty good.
Statistics mean nothing here. It's how hard you are. Okay,
Yeah, I'm looking at the stats from Clemson. They rank 5th in the league in scoring. They rank 6th in the league in scoring defense, with an average of about 13 points. I think Louisville is going to win this game. There's a concern of putting them at the line a lot. They get to the line a lot, but they don't make very many free throws. They have the most free throws made in the league, but they have the 14th worst free throw shooting percentage in the league. So they're really struggling there. So, I think Louisville. Well, I think Clemson probably gets close to their scoring average, but I think Louisville's just going to show them what for on the offensive end. I think I'll go with Clemson 72, Louisville 81. I think Louisville's offense really gets the better of Clemson's defense.
81-72 out of case. Jared has typed in 82-66 Cardinals. We'll turn now to Jeff for your prediction on this game.
Yeah, this is kind of a shot in the dark. I'm going to say like 87-62, but I think Kendall Spray leads them for Clemson. I suspect she kind of goes off and gets a bunch of points, but we're able to shut down the rest of the team.
And 87-62, Jeff, I'm going to save you for last, Daryl, because I know you hate doing this. But my thoughts on this, you guys have got all three of you got the card scoring in the 80s on this. I'm not going to go that high. I'm thinking it might be a little less point production like Virginia Tech was.
Could be.
So I'm going to go with a 70-57 Louisville win, 70-57 over Clemson. And now, Daryl, we turn to you for your somewhat vague and nebulous prediction on this.
I'll go more specific this time. Well, last time when I guessed, I wasn't, that confident. But I'll say somewhere 78-62.
78-62. We all have the Cards winning. Actually, Jared and Daryl both having the Cards winning by 16 points here. So how about that? We'll see if it does happen. This one tips off, of course, Sunday at noon. And it's on the ACC network for all to watch. And, of course, on Cards Radio 790 WKRD with our good friend Nick Curran and AJ Johnson giving us their commentary. We'll roll into final thoughts as we are past the noon hour now. Certainly the show was really just sped by today.
It really has.
I think.
There's so many games to talk about.
Yeah.
And that's right. No, we didn't really get into many other sports too much today, and I do kind of apologize for that. However, there wasn't a whole lot more going on. Next Saturday's show, we'll have a lot more of other women's sports besides basketball to discuss. So certainly make sure and tune in for that. But we're rolling into final thoughts. Let's go ahead and start out with you, Daryl. Give us some final thoughts.
Well, last week we talked about the new show that was on TV that was based in Louisville. I don't know if anybody got to tune in on Thursday for the big reveal, but guess what? She is a Louisville fan. Woo!
Yeah.
I heard outside of that the show was terrible.
Hey, I like it. I don't know what people are talking about. I'm a sitcom person, and I busted out a few good chuckles in the premiere, and it's mostly like introducing characters. So I was definitely going to tune in for the second one. I looked for all the Louisville references, and then in last night's show they did. Okay, so what was it? They were doing some piano ensemble thing at a bar, whatever. And she mentioned how in college she used to play the piano and wake up everybody. So she said piano, and I was like, that's in the sack. I was like, it's UofL. And they said that she did reference how her and her partner had gone to college together. They said UofL. I thought y'all like that. They called it UofL. And the guy yelled "Go Cards" in the microphone. So I'm sold. I'm ready for the next episode.
It's only a matter of time until Chris Mack and Jeff Walls make guest appearances on the show. Let's just hope that
they also had a Kentucky Kingdom reference, which I thought was funny.
Golly. How about Fountain Ferry Park while we're at it, right? Okay. Gates, final thoughts.
Yeah, it's kind of the same final thought that I had last week, I believe. But now it's upon us. The NWSL draft is taking place on Wednesday at 7 p.m. That one is available to watch on their Twitch channel. The interesting thing that came out is that now all players that have completed 3 years of college eligibility are automatically registered for the draft. So I listed in the article today the list of players that includes from Louisville's team that could be selected, and whether a team wants to take a flyer on one of Louisville's players and then let them play out their college season before trying to sign them, based on some weird changes to the NWSL player rights rules this year, that are for this year only due to COVID. So it'll be interesting to see. I think, like I mentioned today, that Amina Acc probably has some draft assurances since she's already said she's not playing in the spring season. So I'll be looking to see where she's taken and by whom, and then to see if anybody else from Louisville's team gets selected. So it should be exciting.
Yeah. GK, maybe.
Exciting indeed. Jared has typed in his final thoughts as he's busy finishing sweeping the lobby of the bank. Final thoughts for him. He's excited for the release of fall and spring sports schedules for this semester. Those should be released in the next 1 to 2 weeks. Softball, lacrosse, soccer, field hockey, volleyball, and tennis all soon to release soon. He's pretty sure of. So certainly going to be a busy spring if all things can take part in this COVID-heavy environment. But a lot of stuff to cover, kids. Jeff, final thoughts?
Yeah, Jared is definitely right on that. I've seen some schools already putting out volleyball schedules, which is a little weird this time of year since they're typically a fall sport. But same thing for field hockey, which is going to be a little weird for ACC field hockey, having played in the fall when nobody else did. So it'll be interesting to see what's going on with all that. My final thoughts, I'm just going to stick with basketball here. Go Cards, beat Clemson. Let's have a good game. Let's have a good, respectful game. I think I love the community we have on our site, including one particular Clemson fan that joins us, Arthur. I think always good to have you on the site, and I think that's the epitome of what sports can be as a positive thing.
And Arthur has told me, Jeff, that he likes to listen to our rebroadcast at times, sitting in his, as he says, comfy chair with a bag of peanuts and a bottle of Woodford.
All right.
So
nothing wrong with that.
I think we should all endeavor to do the broadcast like that next week with a bag of peanuts by our side and a bottle of Woodford. Could be fun. Final thoughts for me. I'm going to go in a slightly different direction in the long and storied history of this Cardinal couple radio hour broadcast, whether it be over the FM waves, AM waves, or podcast variety. Had a nice variety of people in here with us. One of those being Sam Drought. Yes, you'll remember Sam Drought from the old days of the Basement on the Hill WCHQ broadcasts we did. Sam was on, we kind of estimated anywhere from 15 to 20 of those. After moving on to the Oldham Era newspaper as first sports editor and then overall news editor, he has now accepted a position with WDRB Television as an associate producer for them on, I'm not really sure if it's their sports or newscast or whatever, but hey, Sam's only a few years out of college here, and he's already risen to these heights. We certainly enjoyed him when we had him in the studio with us doing shows, and certainly a tip of the hat and a warm handshake to him for having some nice things go his way for him. And continue to improve, young man. You're certainly doing a good job of it so far.
Congratulations. Good job.
And so with no further ado, it's time for Jeff to sing some of his favorite best hits of Queen as we get on out of here. Start with Bohemian Rhapsody, if you would. And we'll see you all next week here on the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast, unless you know something we don't. Go Cards. We'll see you then.
Go Cards.